water shapes everything. It carves mountains, feeds forests, and gives life to the fish that define a place. For weeks, we followed the tides, chasing striped bass along the shifting coast. Fish that move with the currents, thriving in change. But not everything survives change. Some fish belong to a different kind of water. Colder, older, more fragile. Now, we leave the salt behind, following rivers upstream into the heart of Maine. Here, brook trout and landlocked salmon have held on for thousands of years, surviving in waters shaped by glaciers and time. But these rivers are changing. The past and the future collide here, and what happens next will decide whether these fish can remain.
Set. The pickle.
It's Dilly. Hey. Yeah.
Well, we are out in northern Maine, kind of near the coast still. We came upon this beautiful little spot here, and we're looking through the logbook and found the mention of brook trout, which we are in search of right now. So shout out to the people who logged their catches.
Mike and Chris.
Big shout out Mike and Chris. This is the beginning of our inland journey here in Maine. We've been on the coast for quite a bit, and now we're seeing what other species we can find in the freshwater.
Brook Trout.
My first brook trout wasn't caught in the deep woods of Maine, but in the small mountain streams of northern Georgia. At the time, I didn't know their history. I was simply drawn to the challenge of finding them deep in the rhododendron forests and to the sight of a wild fish coming up for my fly. Native to the cold, clean waters of the east, from the mountains of North Georgia to the vast rivers of Canada. Their ancestors belonged to the ancient char lineage. Unlike trout and salmon, which adapted to more temperate waters, char evolved as cold water specialists, thriving in frigid, oxygen-rich environments across the northern hemisphere. When the last ice age began, massive glaciers reshaped the land, carving deep valleys and altering river systems. As these glaciers advanced and retreated, brook trout followed the shifting cold water habitats, eventually settling into the isolated mountain streams of the Appalachians. Over thousands of years, they adapted to the steep rocky waters shaped by erosion and tectonic forces, surviving in pristine headwaters where few other fish could. But these environments are delicate, and as human populations increase, the climate shifts, the waters warm, and the habitat that once shaped them is beginning to change.
Well, we're continuing our brook trout adventure. We know there's brook trout around here. We're just trying to figure out where to find them because it's really low water right now. It's end of the summer. It just seems really quiet. And we're about to go down this trail that is marked on the map as a trail, but looks like just an overgrown mess right now. So it could be either really good or it's gonna suck. It's one or the other.
Right from the start, we were facing challenges. If it isn't already obvious, I'm no master of brook trout fly fishing. This was also our first trip to Maine, and we knew very little about the area. It didn't take long before I started texting the most knowledgeable person I know when it comes to brook trout.
Not that the fish know that you're losing your attention span, but that like the average human attention span is like just shy of the average amount of time it takes to like elicit a strike out of a fish or something. I don't know.
Not only is Chase an expert dangler, he's also an incredible artist, nasty skateboarder, citizen scientist, and one of the best fly fishing filmmakers in existence.
My name's Chase Bartee, and I live full-time on the road. My wife and I are based out of Montana. My wife grew up on the East Coast. I went to school on the East Coast in the Northeast in New England. But for the last 5 years, we've been living anywhere and everywhere nomadically in our van. Well, first van, now truck camper. To me, there's something really magic about the northeastern deciduous woods. I think there's a lot to be said, and a lot has been said about the sort of grandeur of western landscapes, huge, open, dramatic landscapes. And we don't have that so much in the east. Things are obviously flatter, more closed in, more heavily foliated. But the Appalachian Mountains that stretch up the eastern seaboard into the north are the oldest mountains in the country and some of the oldest mountains in the world. And I think you can kind of feel that when you're there. There's sort of a depth and richness to the Northeast and to the entirety of, the East Coast that you don't get in these sort of newer, albeit dramatic landscapes out west. I've always been drawn to that. There's sort of like a hum and a mystery to the woods in the East. And the thing is about the East Coast, it's the first place that Europeans settled in the United States. It's had the longest history of human occupation, modern human occupation and development of anywhere in the country. And because of that, so much of the wildness has been lost over time, just people building and developing on top of each other for, several hundred years at this point. There aren't a lot of big, open, wild spaces anymore. Really the only place that you can get that on the East Coast and in New England and the Northeast is in Maine. If you live in the Northeast and you're interested in outdoor recreation, wild places, fish and wildlife, Maine is sort of the pinnacle. So I think what drew both Amy and I to that place is that it's the highest degree of wilderness that you can reach within that landscape that we have left in the United States. We were lucky enough to live close enough that it was within reach, and once we started going there, we never looked back. I mean, every year we spent less and less time in southern New England and more time in the north because we were just hungry for adventure. I have a sort of like personal history with brook trout, like a lot of fly anglers do. It was the first, salmonid I ever caught on a fly rod. I think it's the first fish I ever caught on a fly rod. If you're from the East Coast, the brook trout is like the quintessential sport fish in a lot of ways. It's also, this is kind of an aside, but it's the first sport fish encountered by the settlers when they reached the United States. It's sort of this like classic American fish. And the thing about brook trout is, like so many trout and salmonids, is they're incredibly sensitive to environmental disturbance. They don't do well with development, they don't do well with pollution, they don't do well with warming water temperatures. So the only places you find brook trout are in incredibly pristine environments, wild environments that have escaped a lot of the sort of hand of human or the hand of man. So sort of by its nature, if you're in a place with good brook trout fishing, you're sort of on an adventure. You're in kind of a wild place to be able to find them.
All right, guys, just want to take a quick moment here to announce a very exciting release we have here at Phelps and the Fly. We have some t-shirts and some hoodies with Bertha on the back. Head over to our website, willphelpsmedia.com. Check out the t-shirts and the hoodies, and we also got some sticker packs for y'all. If you want to support our channel, the best way you can do it is to go over to the website, pick up a t-shirt, pick up a hoodie, pick up some stickers. A percentage of the proceeds actually goes towards brook trout conservation because we think it's really important to give back to what we all enjoy. So if you want to support brook trout and you want to support our channel, tell your friends, go over to willphelpsmedia.com. Thank you again for watching. Now back to the film. Woo! We're on some Brook Trout. This very well could be entirely dry. We still have no idea yet, and we've come very far to get here. I can't see the water quite yet, but we're close. So, okay, we're good. At least we have water, so we can actually fish. Whether we're gonna catch or not, who knows? This looks really good. And the water's cold. There we go, fish on. It's a bass.
Nice. Good bass.
It's not a bad one, eh?
Yeah.
Smallmouth bass.
If you are in Maine today, you can find smallmouth bass in numerous waterways throughout the state, but they're not native to Maine, anywhere in Maine.
There we go.
They were brought to Maine in the late 1800s, primarily for sport and also a little bit for food. And for a long time, fabled brook trout waters and salmon waters in Maine had managed to sort of escape invasion from smallmouth bass. So for a long time, and especially now that people recognize how special the brook trout fisheries are in Maine, there's been a conceded effort to keep smallmouth bass out of those waterways. And anyone who knows anything about smallmouth bass knows that they're incredibly voracious predators.
Bass.
So the threats to brook trout are sort of twofold from the bass. One is just direct competition. Like any other fish, they spawn and occupy habitat and eat food, so there's competition for resources and habitat. But then also because they're such voracious predators, they feed quite aggressively and heavily on young brook trout. So the brook trout are being eaten alive and outcompeted by bass. And unfortunately, the story is that these days we don't have the tools to be able to eradicate fish in some of these larger systems once they're in there. It's kind of just a game of trying to manage and keep the numbers down. So, as people say, like, you can't put the toothpaste back in the jar. There's no getting bass out of some of these places. The best we can hope for is just to sort of limit their numbers. And there are still some places that have remained bass-free, and everyone's working sort of around the clock, from anglers to locals to volunteers to government agencies, to try and keep those bass out, because again, we don't have a way to reverse that once it happens.
Well, we encountered a lot of bass here, and they're one of the species that are outcompeting the native brook trout. So it kind of seems like they are in this spot if there were brook trout here. I'm sure there were at some point in history, but the bass are definitely getting to the fly before any brookies are getting to it. So unfortunately, we're gonna have to call it this spot as well. Maybe continue our journey. Erica and I both want to find some moving water. We picked a spot between two lakes here, and we're hoping there would be some moving water on this stretch of river, but it's pretty still. It's tough to fish. There's a lot of lily pads, and it's marshy. So let's head back to the van and keep on journeying. Forgot my rod. This thing, very important. Wow, PB pickerel. It's actually a good sized pickerel. If there's a pike, it'd be a hammer handle. First little largemouth. Six sidefish smallie. Well, more bass, more pickerel, no trout. So I think that has put the nail in the coffin for this area. We're gonna go elsewhere for trout, for truchas.
With our hunt for brook trout leading to nothing but dead ends and bassy backwaters, it was time to shake things up. We needed colder water. Despite the name, brook trout are actually char, fish built for the Arctic. And last I checked, you don't find largemouth bass up there. The plan? Head inland. Climb an elevation, and hope for some cold flowing water. But before diving back into fishing, it felt like the right time to take a step back, reset, reflect, and refocus. Erica and I wanted to set some goals for our van trip, making sure we stayed true to why we were out here in the first place.
All right, guys, we've had a little bit of a journey trying to find the brook trout on our own. I know we could get it done, but we're in the same area as some friends that just happen to be here right now. They have no idea we're coming. Only one person in this crew knows that we're gonna be here, and it's gonna be a surprise, so should be a good time. Could be.
Hello. Hello.
Hey there.
What's up?
Look who it is. You're the guy from Wildfly. Is that Bubba the Fly? You, dude. What up?
Hello. How are you?
Good to see you.
So good to be able to cross paths with our good friends and do a little fishing together, and to hang out and spend some quality time together here in Maine. Bittersweet to leave so soon, but they're going to continue their journey up to a different part of Maine to fish another river. So if you guys want to see what unfolded over the last couple of days, you're going to have to go check out Wildfly Productions. Head over to Scotty's channel. They're going to have the full video up of their trip there, and we're excited to continue back on our own journey.
Bye.
We took a little break from fishing, did some biking, and went over to Vermont. As you can see, took a little bit of a digger and definitely got a concussion, no question about it. So we're back here in Maine because we can't really bike. I'm not supposed to bike. It's definitely not good for me to be biking right now, but you know it is good for me. Just doing a little fly fishing. The temperatures dropped, the weather is definitely feeling a little bit more fallish. The colors are changing, they're almost in full force here. So we're gonna head out in the river and see if we can find ourselves a brook trout. There's no hatches coming off right now, we're just gonna see if we can get a streamer bite going on. And we've been on this endless search for this big brookie, trying to fulfill our big brookie dreams, and it's just not happening. So we're gonna give this new river a try and hopefully we can find something.
You know, at one point, the East Coast, from Georgia all the way up to the tip of Labrador, had big, healthy, wild interconnected systems with big, healthy brook trout. And those have been largely wiped out. So the places where you can still find them, at least in the lower 48, become really elusive and fleeting to pursue. The waters are generally where brook trout reside, tannic and dark. They're very mysterious. You can't get a good look at the places the fish are, where they're living, and there's sort of an excitement to that mystery.
Oh, I got him. Whoop! Holy sh**. Did you see that? I just pulled him out of the water.
And when a big brook trout, this big colorful fins and glowing halos, emerges from the depths, it's just incredibly sort of exciting.
There we go. Nice brookie. Best one yet. Oh yeah, nice. Sick. Wow. Oh yeah, baby.
Nice, babe.
Wow, that was such a good feeling. Finally got a decent brook trout to hand. Such a pretty fish, so colored up. We got some nice fall colors going on the trees, nice fall colors on the brook trout. Apparently they got the memo.
Within the lower 48, Maine is the last place in the brook trout's native range that brook trout stocks are largely intact. More brook trout habitat that was historically present is still present today in Maine than any other state. And Maine is the last state, truly, that still has big wild brook trout.
There we go. Oh, a big one. It's a big brookie. Oh yeah, that's my biggest one yet, for sure.
And while, you know, big fish aren't everything, they're certainly an indication of healthy and interconnected habitat. But Maine still has such good habitat that there are still places with big fish.
After searching far and wide for a couple of these native fish, it feels good to actually catch some. As fall sets in here, I think the fishing should continue to pick up, and we're gonna keep exploring and keep romping around in the van.
The big brook trout lakes and rivers in Maine are truly world class. Like, it's not just like, oh, it's good for the States. And if you go up into Canada, you know, people know about Labrador and Quebec and Northern Ontario, that you can catch giant brook trout up there. You can still catch giant brook trout in Maine. They're harder to find because there's not a lot of habitat left that supports them. But some of the lakes and river systems in Maine at one point produced some of the biggest brook trout on Earth. They rivaled Labrador, they rivaled Quebec. And while for a myriad of reasons that's not true today anymore, you can still catch fleeting glimpses of it. And there's a chance to catch a real trophy brook trout, you know, a sort of fish of a lifetime fish in Maine. And so, you know, that alone has kept me coming back.
We just made it out to a new river, new spot. We're pretty close to where we're gonna fish tomorrow, and we're meeting up with a friend from Montana. Eric has known him for a while from working in the hospital. He is a nurse.
It's going right down my ass crack right now, for sure.
Pretty pumped to meet up with Aaron to fish tomorrow and hopefully see what this new river brings. We've got a little bit of rain. It's actually starting to drizzle a little bit right now. It rained all day yesterday. It should help the fishing a little bit.
The thing that I love so much about fall in New England and that's so special about fall in New England is one, it's this moment of sort of like momentous change and transformation, right? The whole environment is changing from summer into winter. Temperatures are dropping, the leaves are falling off the trees. You know, for brook trout fishermen, there's also this parallel as the trees are all turning this fiery orange and red. The brook trout are also coloring up into this fiery orange and red. And whatever that sort of aesthetic rapture that's achieved from being in you know, the woods during fall and witnessing that change in that color is also sort of achieved in catching those fish as they start to change and transform.
How's it going?
How are you?
What up, dude? Good to see you.
Yo, good to see you guys. This is awesome.
It was time to go deeper, as far as we could squeeze into the thickest brush and through the endless mud bogs. Bertha was due for a run for her money in these relentless northeastern woods.
It's definitely a little tight back here.
You'll make it.
Oh yeah, baby. Wow, this is tight.
Aaron pushed the old Subi to her limits until we couldn't go any farther without leaving pieces of her behind. Once we got as far as we could go, it was up to our own 2 feet to take us to the river.
Look at the mud track you made. Like you had 0 traction.
Wee bit muddy, wee bit tight for this girl.
What's it called now?
Saskadina? Yeah, that's pretty deep mud.
Love it.
You went the smart way.
This was the way.
It's pretty smelly.
Stinky mud.
Stinky mud. Mud whacking.
Mud whacking. The Northeast mud whack.
Oh yeah. Uh-huh.
It's really hard to capture the smell on camera.
AI is gonna develop it for us.
Oh, f***.
Oh, there she is. Lost her.
Oh, net down.
Net down. Oh, this looks nice and juicy. Just put a little sauce on there. Take the extra second. Maybe in my old age I'll take 10 minutes before I fish to observe, but I'll get there one day.
The Royal Wolf.
The Royal Wolf always gets it done. Always. Where'd he fish? Oh no! Did you save it?
There it is. I got a little dip.
Yeah, you got the right arm.
Come on, baby.
But not in the waders?
It's a little bit.
Oh.
It's going right down my ass crack right now, for sure. We're gonna think of this as a river sacrifice.
Yeah,
There's gotta be a brookie.
there's gotta be a brookie.
There's gotta be one.
Yeah, and you're gonna get him.
A lot of people have argued, maybe rightly so, that the Atlantic salmon is sort of the ultimate sport fish in fresh water. But there's another life history of Atlantic salmon inland in waters that are no longer connected to the sea. And Atlantic salmon have persisted in those waterways and now in an entirely sort of freshwater life cycle. We call them landlocked Atlantic salmon. And Maine has a number of sort of fabled landlocked Atlantic salmon waters.
There we go. Oh my God, it's a tank. I think it's a salmon on the caddis. Here, I'll float it to you. It might try and run at you, so just be ready. Yeah.
You got
They're incredibly powerful and acrobatic and generally oftentimes quite challenging to catch, especially the large anadromous form, because when they enter fresh water, famously they don't eat. It's very difficult to take them on a fly.
Nice landlocked salmon. That was my first like real landlocked salmon. That was kind of a crazy experience. It was 19 inches on the dot. Yeah. Definitely out of the blue. Like I was fishing this tiny hole, had no idea that fish was even in there. And then boom, big fish on. I was like, holy crap. Just threw on this like caddis pupa. Very nondescript fly. Super old school looking. No weight, but Euro nymphing it.
There we go. Another big one. Holy sh! Oh my God, it's a tank. Someone's a pig. Oh my gosh. Holy mackerel. Wow, look at him jump. This one's a stud, babe. Okay, heads up. Oh my goodness. That's a stud. Look at his jaw.
The landlocked Atlantic salmon don't grow to the size that their sea-run counterparts do. They retain all of the characteristics that people love so much about the larger sea-run Atlantic salmon. They're incredibly aggressive. They fight really hard. They're super acrobatic. They jump maybe like no other fish in freshwater does. So yeah, people travel from all over the world to fish for landlocked Atlantic salmon in Maine. And it's really sort of the only place in the US that has healthy, wild, landlocked Atlantic salmon.
Literally marabou thread and tinsel. Super simple.
And that's like, I bet if you opened up a lot of those guys' fly boxes today, that's what you'd find.
Maybe we should fish some stuff like
stuff
this.
like that.
And now you can take some of this black dubbing and make a little collar up top, and then that's your fly. It is currently 6:25 a.m. Not super early, but the sun's just coming up. The days are getting a lot shorter. Sun's rising a little later. And we're gonna get a little first light fishing in. Seems like the better fishing is in the morning when the water temps are colder and the sun's coming up. Pretty typical fishing scenario.
The old car setup. I love it.
Well, we just started fishing not too long ago. We walked down to the mouth of the river, just behind me. Pretty long send through the muck and the brush, and there were no fish here. But Aaron caught one nice salmon while I was walking down here, just sending it for no reason. So we're gonna go back up to where Aaron caught a salmon and see if we can stick a couple more. This is the last day of fishing with Aaron and second to last day of brook trout season in this area. So just gonna make the most of it, enjoy it while it lasts, maybe catch a couple fish.
It's about the length I had this morning. See if we can make it happen again here.
Oh. Woohoo. Woohoo. Bob her down, bud. Bob her down.
Oh, dude! Holy fuck! That was big.
Dude, that was big. That was bigger than this morning's for sure. Woo. Working our way downstream a little bit, right to where I caught the one earlier. And must have been on the swing. My flies must have just been coming up through the water column, and he took it hard. God, broke water, shook me off. Broke it. I'm gonna go with this guy. With those typed up alien looking jaws. Wonder if he just cut it completely. Just add a little bit each time. Further the distance.
No.
You can feel my heart rate through that camera. She's pumping. I've been shook. It's a feisty fish. They just make a couple runs, and it's a tough balance between getting them in and letting them do their thing. The old barbless, man. That'll test you as well. What can you do? What can you do? The adrenaline's pumping though. And again on the swing. Right in that soft water.
Wow.
Oh man, that's exhilarating though. Fish on it, baby.
Oh yeah, baby. We're in the hot spot, bud.
What a beaut.
Dude. Well, it was a good morning.
A couple leaps from those salmon. What else can you ask for? Colors. If only you could smell this. It's Maine in the fall is on another level. It's a good outing. Made the best of it.
We gotta say goodbye to Aaron here. He's gotta go. He's gotta go back to the real world.
Back to the real world. Don't we all love it? If only we could fish forever. Appreciate you guys.
Yeah, thanks
Hitting
for
me
being
up.
down for that.
Yo, thanks, brother.
Yo,
That was fun.
good stuff.
Super fun to
Yeah,
see
for
ya
sure.
on
Great
the
to
east
see you
side of this
guys.
country.
I know.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Big shout out. This
Big
is what
shout
I
out.
really came for. The swag, the gear. All right, guys.
Later, Aaron.
See ya.
That was fun. Thanks for coming out.
Good times. Bye, Sally.
After finding success with landlocked salmon, one goal remained. We caught some beautiful brook trout on this trip to Maine, but not the brook trout. The one that's been keeping me up at night. With just one day of fishing left, it was time to change that.
Big fish. Oh yeah. Yeah, it's so pretty. The light's amazing right now. Oh my God. Oh my God. He ate my fly. Well, this massive brookie that I tried nymphing for such a long time came up and ate something. So I switched my Euro nymph rig over to a dry. And I don't have a leader, I'm just using tippet with a dry fly attached to the end. And like 4 casts, and the fish came up and like nosed my dry, and I kind of pricked the fish. I'm gonna try and hang out and let him reset. This is crazy right now. Little fish, little baby salmon. There he is. There he is. Oh my gosh, big brookie. Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my God. Well, that's a heartbreak. Biggest brookie I've ever hooked in my life, for sure. Ate the dry. He was on for a second and then popped off. I really don't know if this fish is gonna come back and eat again. That is a major heartbreak. Spent a lot of time searching for that one brook trout, and that was certainly it. I cannot tell you how sad I am right now. It's like the worst feeling when you lose a fish like that. I just get this like sick, empty feeling in my stomach. It's definitely what keeps us coming back, but it sucks. And now I have a long trudge through the river, through the brush, through the mud bogs, back to the van to meet up with Erica. She left a little early because she was getting bored of me not catching fish. So, sad, sad, but maybe we'll find something on the way back. No way. Well, I wasn't recording. I put the camera down for 2 seconds and finally hooked a nice brook trout on the dry. Yes! Woo! Yeah, baby. Finally. Finally. We got a big brookie on a dry fly. I got really frustrated trudging through the woods, getting my ass kicked. I lost my water bottle. I lost that other fish. I was just like down the dumps, so I turned off the camera. I was like, screw it, I need to do some of my own fishing right now. No cameras, and of course. So I finally hooked up with a brook trout. That's how it always goes, so. That was very exciting. Super freaking stoked to check the box on a decent brook trout here in Maine. That was the icing on the cake. That's exactly what I came here for, and couldn't be more happy. Wow. So many ups and downs. It's funny how the fish that we've been after this whole time came the way that we normally fish when we're in Montana. I don't know, I feel like a big takeaway from this trip isn't to sway from our normal fishing ways and just do what we want to do. Because you love throwing dry flies. You love throwing the big dries. We were trying to get super techie with it and like
was overthinking things and like we weren't really finding fish, when it was as simple as just finding pocket water and just fishing, like blind casting at cool looking spots, and that's when the fish came. So I don't know, I think there's a lot to be said about that. Like, don't overthink it. Trout fishing is
Trout fishing is trout fishing.
On our last day, just when I'd almost let go of the idea, it happened. A beautiful, big-shouldered brook trout, the one I'd been chasing all along. But as I held it in the net, watching its colors glow, I realized it wasn't just about the fish. It was about learning to slow down, to live in the moment. We learned a lot about ourselves, about this fishery, and about what's at stake. Brook trout are more than just a beautiful fish. They're a symbol of clean water, healthy forests, and an intact ecosystem. They only thrive where the land is still wild and the water is still cold. When they disappear, it means something deeper is breaking down. Letting that fish slip back into the river felt like more than just a goodbye. It felt like a promise to return, but also to protect. Because if we want places like this to exist tomorrow, we have to fight for them today. Next up, we're trading mountain streams for marsh grass. We're heading south to the low country, where the tides rise high and the happy redfish tail. It's flood tide season in South Carolina, and we're stocking studs and inches of water.
Oh my God, John Gore. Dude, that was such a cool eat.
Explosive eats, skinny water, big redfish.
Just in case there's not enough coverage.
I love being the guy with no camera.
Should we throw on Taylor Swift again?
Yeah.
Use with a broken heart.
He's got the idea.
Sound of nature. Sound of wild non-native apes.
Getting in frame. Everyone's got cameras
Look at all
out.
the cameras happening. I just realized all the cameras are outside. Yeah, Dilly. Yeah. Are you so happy? Are you so happy?